Silence or stand.
Please be seated.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Admission of lawyers. Shrishti Acharya.
May it please the court, I move that Shrishti Acharya be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Shrishti Acharya be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Rochelle Lauren Amos.
May it please the court, I move that my sister Rochelle Lauren Amos be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Rochelle Lauren Amos be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Laura Marie Atkins.
May it please the court, I move that my niece, Laura Marie Atkins, be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Let Laura Marie Atkins be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Ushna Khalid Bashir.
May it please the court, I move that Ushna Khalid Bashir be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Ushna Khalid Bashir be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Angie Cow.
May it please the court, I move that Anzi Tao be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Anzi Chow be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Erica Maria Casamatis.
May it please the court, I move that Erica Maria Casamatis be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Erica Maria Casamatis be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Rahil Kumar Chauhan.
May it please the court, I move that Rohil Kumar Chauhan be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Rohil Kumar Chauhan be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Isabella Paris de Moya.
May it please the court, I move that Isabella Paris de Moya be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Isabella Paris de Moya be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Yu Shang Huang.
May it please the court, I move that Yu Xiang Huang be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Yu Shang Wang be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Shirani Gatha Kulatalaka.
May it please the court, I move that Shirani Gata Kulatilake be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Shirani Gatha Kulatilaka be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Tess Newen.
May it please the court, I move that Tess Newen be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Tess Newen be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Sean Robert Payne.
May it please the court, I move that Sean Robert Payne be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Sean Robert Payne be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Thomas Michael Vandervelde.
Please the court, I move that my son, Thomas Michael Vandervelde, be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Thomas Michael Vandervelde be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Matilda Lavisa Josephine von Plomgren.
May it please the court, I move that Matilda Louisa Josephine von Plomgren be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Matilda Louisa Josephine von Plomgren be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Anastasios Zarkos.
May it please the court, I move that Anastasios Zarkos be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Anastasios Zarkos be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Tamsin Candice Zulch.
May it please the court, I move that Tamsin Candice Zulch be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Tamsin Candice Zulch be admitted as a lawyer of this court. It will be now necessary for the purposes of an oath or the affirmation that all of those being admitted today stand up but remain standing in their current places. So all the admittees, please stand up.
Shrishti Acharya. Rochelle Lauren Amos. Laura Marie Atkins. Ushna Khalid Bashir. Angie Cow. Erica Maria Casamatis. Rahil Kumar Chauhan, Isabella Paris de Moya, Yushan Huang, Chirani Gatha Kulatalaka, Tess Nguyen, Sean Robert Payne, Thomas Michael Vanderveld, Matilda Louisa Josephine von Plongren, Anastasios Zarkos, Tamsin Candace Zulch. Do you severally swear or declare and affirm that you will truly and honestly conduct yourselves in the practice of a lawyer of the Supreme Court of New South Wales, and that you will faithfully serve as such in the administration of the laws and usages of this state, according to the best of your knowledge, skill and ability? Would you please say, "So help me God," or "I do"? Would you please be seated?
Well, I would like to warmly welcome you all to today's admission celebration and ceremony, celebrating the admission of 16, I think, new lawyers in this ceremony. This is the second week live admission ceremonies have been conducted since the onset of the pandemic. Last year we had to conduct the admissions remotely, and the court is delighted once again to be able to conduct such a significant occasion in person, albeit with reduced numbers and multiple ceremonies. But these admission ceremonies mark a very important and significant milestone in your careers. But let me first recognise the traditional custodians of the land on which we sit, the land of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and pay my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging, and to all First Nations people. My role as the President of the Court of Appeal is to preside on civil appeals in the Supreme Court and to deputise for the Chief Justice when he's unable to sit. The Chief Justice regrets that he's not able to sit in this ceremony, but has asked me to pass on his congratulations and good wishes to you all. Present with me on the bench today is Justice Stevenson to my right, and to my left Justice Kuntz, both of whom are judges of the Equity Division of this court. Judges in the Equity Division hear commercial cases, corporations disputes, probate and family provision matters, real property and trust disputes, and exercise the court's parens patriae jurisdiction. Judges in the Common Law Division of the court hear serious criminal cases such as murder and terrorism offences, and also sit on the Court of Criminal Appeal. They also deal with administrative law, personal injury, professional negligence and defamation matters. And all appeals lie to the Court of Appeal and to the Court of Criminal Appeal. Today we are sitting in the ceremonial Banco Court, used for all ceremonial sittings such as today's, as well as for any other matter in which the Chief Justice presides. You can look around the court to see portraits of former Chief Justices going back to this court's inception almost 200 years ago. And the fact, as you will or may have noticed, that we wear the same robes, in some cases literally, but not all cases, but the fact that we wear the same robes as our predecessors is deliberately symbolic, because it marks the continuity of the rule of law in this country. The rule of law is a vital element of our democracy, and an independent, impartial judiciary is at its cornerstone. As I will explain, all newly admitted practitioners will contribute to the rule of law in our society and its communities. Now, each of the new practitioners has sworn an oath or made an affirmation that you will truly and honestly conduct yourselves in the practice. Oh, please stay. Please stay. Each of you has made an oath, sworn an oath or made an affirmation that you will truly and honestly conduct yourselves in the practice of a lawyer of the Supreme Court of New South Wales, and that you will faithfully serve as such in the administration of the laws and usages of this state according to the best of your knowledge, skills and ability. They are solemn obligations and undertakings, and today your admission will be recorded on the Supreme Court roll. Today is also a day for great celebration and pride. It is the day which marks the culmination of legal studies to date, when you can look back with pride and relief on endless hours of lectures and days and nights of study. And there can be no doubt that you've all worked incredibly hard to get here, particularly in the trying circumstances of the last 12 months. And on behalf of the court, I congratulate you all and warmly welcome you to the legal profession. For many of you, and whilst not for one moment underestimating your own hard work, energy and dedication, your achievements would not have been possible without the significant support of your family and friends. They have no doubt stood by and encouraged you throughout the long journey in your study of law. Some of those supporters are here today, but many of them may be joining us in this ceremony virtually by the streaming service to celebrate with you and honour you to mark the occasion, and for some, perhaps to utter their own sighs of relief at the completion of stage one. In participating in this ceremony today, you have become part of a proud tradition which dates back to the 12th century, when it first became common for those representing others before the courts to swear an oath before being allowed to practice. The first admission ceremony in this court was held almost 200 years ago in 1824, and it took place just a few blocks away. Today's formal ceremony recognises the commitment you have each made to uphold the rule of law, to administer the law competently and with honesty and integrity, as have centuries of lawyers before you. It's out of respect for this long and proud history that we mark your admission to the legal profession today with the formalities which also recognise and reflect, as I've said, the institutional continuity of the Supreme Court. Throughout history, the legal profession has proved itself adept at change, and never more so than in the last 12 months. We transitioned to a virtual system of justice at a previously unimaginable pace. And since March of last year, the Court of Appeal, for example, and the Court of Criminal Appeal have each heard more than 400 appeals, each with counsel and solicitors and occasionally judges sitting remotely. Although I'm pleased to say that we have now very substantially, albeit not entirely, returned to live hearings. And judges at first instance, such as Justice Stevenson and Justice Kuntz, have continued to conduct trials, including taking evidence over Microsoft Teams or other audio-visual facilities, and the court has shown great resilience to maintain the system of justice at a time when many other aspects of society have been suspended. Of course, the practical changes that we've had to adapt to in the last year are not the only changes that have occurred in the legal profession. For almost 100 years after the first admission ceremony was held in New South Wales, women were not allowed to be admitted into the profession. In 1902, Ada Evans became the first woman to obtain a law degree in Australia, but she was never able to practice because of what we now recognise as unjust and unenlightened laws excluding women from public life. She campaigned tirelessly, the laws were changed, and Marie Biles later became the first woman admitted as a solicitor in this state just over 100 years ago in 1918. And when my distinguished predecessor as President of the Court of Appeal, the Honourable Margaret Beasley AC QC, was first admitted to the bar as recently as 1975, at a time when there were separate admissions of barristers and solicitors, she was only the 37th woman to be admitted in the history of New South Wales Bar, which had existed at that stage for 150 years. She is now, of course, the state's governor. In terms of gender equality, I'm happy to report that we have come a long way. Today, more than half of the solicitors with a practising certificate in New South Wales are women. Almost two-thirds of the Council of the New South Wales Bar Association are female barristers, including its senior vice president. Ms Juliana Warner is president of the Law Society of New South Wales, and many of the most senior judicial positions in the country are held by women, including the Chief Justice of Australia, the Chief Justices of Victoria, Queensland, the ACT, the Chief Judge in Equity in this court, and the Chief Commissioner of the Industrial Relations Commission of New South Wales. Almost half of the state's magistracy, those who preside in the local court, are also now female. So from a gender perspective, the profession is more diverse than ever before. That is a good thing and something that we celebrate. Our profession is only as strong as it is diverse. Community confidence in the administration of justice is enhanced when the people practising, applying and enforcing the law are representative of the wider community. An inclusive profession also strengthens access to justice by providing culturally and gender-sensitive services. No one, irrespective of their gender, sexual orientation, ethnicity, religion, disability or socioeconomic background, should be left out of or left behind in pursuing a career in the law. Both the Law Society of New South Wales and the New South Wales Bar Association have been and are agents for change in this regard. Another important feature of the modern legal profession is the greater awareness of and sensitivity to mental health and well-being. The practice of law is undoubtedly a demanding profession. Even aside from the pandemic, there will be times in your career when you may be struggling at work and where you may feel disheartened or overwhelmed. Looking after your mental health is not something to be ashamed of. You should take time, when needed, to seek professional help and turn to the enduring things in your life, such as family, partners or friends. And both the Law Society of New South Wales and the New South Wales Bar Association have some excellent resources which assist in looking after the health and well-being of practitioners. Now, an important part of this occasion is to remind you all that in joining this profession, you've agreed to uphold particular ethical rules and values. You're not only joining a profession, but one of a particular kind. The role of lawyers as officers of the court means you are subjected to a body of ethical rules that is different from and more demanding than those that are imposed on ordinary members of society. We make no apology for that. Trust, honesty and integrity are cardinal requirements in the practice of the law. Where those qualities are absent, as regrettably they sometimes are, those practitioners are called out and stripped of the status that has been conferred on you today. That status is a privilege, not a right. That is important always to remember. And at a time when mistrust in many institutions is rife and there has been an erosion of respect for them, it is your duty, and indeed it is in your own interests, to foster and preserve public confidence in the profession. It is, after all, to the legal profession that citizens look when their liberty or well-being, be it personal or financial, is at stake. Respect for the courts and those who practice in them is at the bedrock of a civilised society. And this sentiment runs particularly true in these current unprecedented and uncertain times. Our world, as everyone knows, is reeling from the turmoil of the global pandemic, which has generated fear and uncertainty, destroyed livelihoods and curtailed movements across suburbs, states and countries. History has taught us that human rights are at their most vulnerable in times of crisis, and again it is to the courts that citizens look to uphold the rule of law. Despite this crisis, the rule of law, as I've said, has not been suspended throughout the pandemic, and now, as an officer of the court, you, the newly admitted lawyers, are trustees for the rule of law. That requires the fair and consistent application of laws by institutions and of integrity, in which legal practitioners must participate at all times honestly and with courage and skill. And irrespective of whether you go on to practice in a commercial firm, a suburban firm, a country firm, a community legal centre, or indeed pursue a career outside the law altogether, I encourage you to use your legal skills, knowledge and talent and capacity for critical thinking to serve the public good. Those of you who do go into practice must also uphold a duty of competence. You now have the privilege of conducting yourself as a lawyer because you have proven that you are capable of understanding our complex system of law. But the knowledge you gained at law school is worthless unless you retain it, strengthen it and increase it. The learning never stops. By continuing to update your knowledge, you will be in the best position to serve your clients and the wider legal system will benefit. Courage and moral fortitude are other qualities which you should aim to bring to your work as a lawyer. You do no one, least of all your client, a service by telling them simply what they want to hear. At a personal level, be warned that some setbacks and disappointments inevitably lie ahead. Fortunately, however, collegiality far outweighs competitiveness in this profession, and you have today joined a profession whose support will prove invaluable. Finally, can I say, try and strike a balance in everything you do. The best and wisest lawyers are those who are well balanced. And my own personal credo, never forget to have fun and don't take life too seriously. The law is and can be a marvellous, important and rewarding career on so many levels. My colleagues here, I know, share that sentiment. Embrace and enjoy it. And so, on behalf of the Chief Justice and all of the judges of the Supreme Court, I once again congratulate you all on your admission, wish you well and welcome you to the legal profession. The Court will now adjourn.
All stand.